So we are familiar with the board exam scheme for science. As we know, theory, the total marks allotted are 20, and we have internal assessment, 80 marks theory and 20 marks internal assessment. And that's what makes it a 100-mark paper. Internal assessment, you would have already completed by now, most of it, which includes periodic assessment, subject enrichment, diverse or multiple assessments, and portfolio, which carry 5 marks each. So today we will be mainly focusing on how to score well in the theory paper. So the exam structure and the paper format, as we are familiar with, the CBSE Class 10 exams are structured to assess both theory as well as understanding and practical application. That is the most important aspect. Here, like every subject, even for science, we follow a specific format, typically combining the objective as well as subjective questions. Question papers are divided into different sections, which will include the multiple choice, short answer questions, long answer type, and this overall gives students a well-rounded assessment. Now, the design of this year's question paper include the following competencies: demonstrating the knowledge and understanding, 46% weightage; application of the knowledge or concepts, 22%; formulate, analyze, evaluate, and create. If you are familiar, this is in line with the Bloom's taxonomy. So this is the question paper design. In the science theory paper, these are the general instructions given. So I would suggest all students to familiarize themselves with these general instructions, that the paper consists of total 39 questions divided into 5 sections. Every question is compulsory. However, internal choice will be provided in some questions, and the students are expected to attempt only one out of it. So as we know, section A, 20 objective type questions, out of which 16 questions will be the multiple choice questions as such, and questions 17 to 20 will be assertion and reason type questions. Section B has very short answer questions, 6 questions carrying 2 marks. So should range within 30 to 50 words. Section C has 7 short answer type questions carrying 3 marks, and then should be, sometimes it will be a complete 3-mark question, or it may be divided into tag questions carrying 1 mark each. Similarly, section D will have long answer type questions carrying 5 marks, which answers the range of words has been specified. And section E has 3 source-based or case-based questions for 4 marks, having 3 subparts. Part A, B, and C. The subpart C will have an option that is having 2 marks. So the same thing that I have just now told, that the design. When you start preparing for the science paper, the first thing you need to do is go through the latest syllabus, the curriculum. Your teachers must have already given you a detailed idea about the syllabus. Check and analyze the syllabus and see how and what you have to study, and exactly prepare a study plan. That's very, very important. Now, have total clarity about the concepts that you need to. For the CBSE board exams, we always recommend reading the textbook very, very thoroughly, understand the important terms and definitions, read the content multiple times, and make your own comprehensive notes so that it will be easy. And while making your own notes, try to write or highlight the key points, the value points that will help you at the last minute. Now, while you are preparing from the NCERT textbook, chapter-wise, if you are taking physics, chemistry, biology, whatever you're comfortable with as you have planned, after reading the entire lesson, try to solve all the in-text questions. Those are given in the in between the chapter. and then also try answering the questions that are given at the end, as these are considered to be very, very important. And one more thing I would like to add over here is somewhere in the chapter you will find that they have asked questions. For example, in biology, there is one question I can say: how do the traits get expressed? That's the heading that has been given. So then, wherever there are such questions in the textbook, these are the questions that have been asked a number of times in the board exam. So I would suggest that students, while reading the lesson, thoroughly and mark, highlight wherever the questions have been asked in the lesson. And they are expected to know the answers. Even if there are certain activities where it is written, find out from the internet what all can be, what are other possible. So these are some open-ended questions, and then students are expected to know these answers. So they should prepare also as a general instruction. Try to solve along with the latest CBSE sample paper, the sample paper which CBSE has issued. Along with that, a number of previous year question papers also, that will help the students understand the type of questions and the level of difficulty. That will also help students to, increase the speed and solve the paper in the given stipulated time. Revise the syllabus, solve previous year questions, create own notes, manage the time effectively, and very important, to stay calm. I have already mentioned about the role of NCERT textbook for in-depth knowledge and accurate overview of the. Of course, you can refer to other references, audio-visual as well as print. However, while answering, please stick to the NCERT. Even the examples or equations, whatever have been given, try to follow. Coming specifically to biology. Ma'am, am I comfortable or going very fast? Is it okay?
No, no, absolutely the correct space.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we start with subject-specific discussion. As all of us are aware, these are the lessons that we cover under biology. Life processes, which is a very long chapter covering 4 major life processes: control and coordination, how do organisms reproduce, heredity, and our environment. These are the lessons that will be considered under this. Now, the type of questions that are generally asked on these lessons, every lesson will be given more or less equal. Many a time students ask, ma'am, what is the weightage given to this chapter and that? So we will decide which one to be, done in more details or not. So my suggestion would be give equal importance to all the lessons, as any question from any part of any lesson can be asked. Multiple choice, assertion, reason type questions, long and short. Very important is, even in biology, we will have activity-based questions. Life processes chapter itself, there are activities on photosynthesis, respiration. So these have to be given due weightage while preparing. Diagram-based questions specifically. Earlier, there used to be many questions on drawing the diagrams. Over the last 2-3 years, we have realized that they are not asking many diagrams to be drawn by the students. However, diagrams are given and then specific questions are asked. So we need to be prepared. Flow charts are given, and then maybe you need to fill in the missing places and all. And of course, we are now familiar with the case study based questions as well. So I have come up with a few examples just to make you understand, as CBSE is focusing more on competency based questions now rather than asking direct questions. Certain questions will be, a fraction of it will be competency based or activity based. So this is an example where some correct setup and one correct setup or incorrect setup may be shown, illustrated. So here you need to read and understand the question or the concept that has been dealt with, analyze what all has been given in the four options, critically evaluate each of the given options. You can try the elimination method also, and finally choose the most appropriate question. Assertion, reason, question type is where we, while evaluating, we find that children are losing marks on this. This is what we've been, and we feel really very sad when we have to, a child getting 99, I mean, they are just losing by 1 mark, full marks. So here again, the assertion, both the statements for assertion as well as reason to be read very clearly, understand, and then come up with, out of the four options given, which one is the most suitable option. Again, we have a lot of diagram based questions may be there. So diagrams may be given. You can have anything, maybe a long case study based question, MCQ, or a long answer question, or labeling the parts of the diagram as I have depicted through. I could come up with a few, but yes, you can find n number of such questions where the parts have been labeled using alphabets, and then you have to answer the specific questions based on those. So also practice drawing the diagrams, whichever you have been told by your teachers, mentors. Along with that, also get familiar with, they will not directly ask you, suppose this is the, the circulatory system, exchange of gases, this diagram is given. They will not directly ask you label left ventricle or right ventricle. They will ask you, a clue will be given. Label the part that pumps blood, part of the heart, that chamber of the heart that pumps blood to the aorta. So then you have to, that will be the number where you will have to answer accordingly. So like that, 4 different labels, questions may be asked. So be prepared for such questions. The distractors sometimes in the multiple choice question resemble so much that we get confused which one should be the most appropriate option. So that needs to be taken care of. Here is another type of question. I just tried to have a look at, a diagram has been shown, which of them will show maximum variation. So here again, the concept you need to understand, which is the concept, what makes, cross-pollination, between cross-pollination and self-pollination, which will bring about more variation. So that's the concept tested, and accordingly understand and come up with the most appropriate answer. Also, while answering the multiple choice question, it is this year specifically the instruction is the student is all expected to write the option number as well as the correct answer. Earlier, we used to tell students write only the correct option number so that it saves time. However, in diagram-based questions, you need not draw the diagrams. There only the option will do. But where it is the option, like suppose my answer is option B, then I'll have to write for question 7, answer option B, B and D. This I will have to write. This is a new instruction that has come this year. As I said, there will be number of activity-based questions. It may or may not have a diagram to support or make you understand. So we have these examples of activity-based question. You will have to again understand and then respond to the answers accordingly. Coming to the case-based questions, the concept is again from the textbook. The paragraph may not be exactly as it is in the textbook. students need to understand that this case-based questions, this is different from the English comprehension. In English, they get comprehension passages and you find answers in that passage itself. Here, it need not be the same. So the concept is there and anything related to that may be asked. Anything related to that particular concept may be asked. So they have to link with their knowledge and then accordingly answer the questions. In this, I've just put question A and B, which will carry 1 mark. The C part has 2 marks and it has an option. So A is compulsory, B is compulsory, and C, there will be 2 options. So students can attempt only 1 out of the 2. Here, some people feel that if I answer both the questions, I may get marks on whichever is correct. It's okay, but then every time it may not be. Sometimes the instructions to the evaluators are that you only check the first one, the one which has been answered first. So in that case, the child may not get that advantage. So whichever the child feels more confident, let that be the first answer, first one. And then go with the other one, even if you are trying to attempt both. Another type where an illustration has been given, and based on the illustration, you try answering the questions, right? So these were some of the examples I could fit in this PPT. However, you will find after preparing from the NCERT textbook, you may refer to number of question papers that are available. Write very precise to the point answers covering all the value points. If time permits, highlight the important, the value points. That is if time permits. Okay. Support your answers with suitable diagrams, examples, flow charts wherever necessary. Draw neat, well-labeled diagrams with pencil only. Avoid using colored pens or so. And manage your time effectively. Start with a good speed. You may start with any section, but please write the section. Just coming to chemistry part, we have done chemical reactions and equations, acids, bases, metals, non-metals, and carbon and its compounds. Very important and a lesson where students lose marks is while writing balanced chemical equations. So I would suggest written revision of the chemical reactions and equations are very, very important. Questions based on the types of chemical reactions. We have learned the different types of chemical reactions. So every time the questions based on these types will be asked. Wherever differentiate between type of questions are asked, please make columns and write corresponding points of differences based on definitions, activities, nature or color of the product formed. Learn to identify the type of reactions. These will be some of my tips for the first lesson. Acids, bases, and salts is entirely an activity-based chapter. You can relate it to your daily life experiences and try to answer the questions based on that. Metals and non-metals, be thorough with the physical properties of all the metals and non-metals. Then there is one part where exceptions have been given, that though all metals show these properties, however, there are certain exceptions. So these are very important. So for example, iodine is a non-metal, however, it is lustrous. Non-metals are not lustrous, but exception is iodine. So like that, the examples which have been given in the textbook, I would suggest students to prepare that. While preparing the chemical properties, support your answers with suitable chemical equations. Here, there will be, for example, you may have a question, aluminium oxide is an amphoteric oxide. Justify. So when that question is given, the answer is since it reacts with both acids and bases to give salt and water, it is amphoteric. But then you need to justify that here it is reacting with acid to give salt and water. At the same time, it is reacting with a base to give salt and water. So then the concluding statement will be, since it reacts with both, therefore it is known as. So begin with the introductory part, support it with suitable chemical equations, and then write the concluding statement. That's how it will be. Carbon and its compounds is a vast, long chapter where you need to be familiar with the occurrence of carbon bonding, covalent bonding. How is it different from ionic bonds? Why is carbon considered to be a versatile element? What are the different types of compounds? Catenation and tetravalency, the two important properties that make. So what is the definition of catenation? What are saturated and unsaturated compounds? Here you need to know the molecular formula, structural formula, the chemical name also, and the electron dot structures. Any one of them given, you should be able to do the rest of it. So prepare accordingly, make tables, and then try to prepare. I was not able to include that table over here, but then you can prepare a table for name of the compound, the molecular formula, the structural formula, and the electron dot structure. Then the same with the functional groups, different functional groups, and of course, number of questions can be asked on the homologous series. As I have already covered in the previous part, written practice of chemical equations is very, very important, and prepare all the activity-based questions thoroughly. I think these were some of the tips that I could manage within this much time. I will address to your questions after Sana ma'am's presentation. So thank you so much. Over to Sana ma'am.
Ma'am, with your permission, if we can attend to Chem and Bio question, there are hardly 2, 3. We will ask students to post few more. Can we do that?
Yes.
And then
Yes,
we
yes.
can exclusively go for
I'll
physics
stop
session.
sharing and then
Yeah,
respond to
yes,
this.
yes.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, students, you can start posting your questions pertaining to chemistry and bio. Ma'am, there is one student who wants to ask, can the questions be asked based on the no more section also?
Yes, sometimes they have been asked. I can give example in chemistry, the cleansing action of soap that has been given in that no more to know. But then they do ask the cleansing action. Similarly, I can give some more examples also where it has been allotropes of carbon, diamond and graphite. This has been given as an extra thing. So though in the introduction, it has been written in the textbook that these will not be evaluated, but over the years, Sana ma'am, if you would agree that sometimes even these questions have been asked.
Absolutely. So it should not be completely left. They should at
No,
least
they
go
must
through
in
it.
fact prepare it as part
Prepare
of
it.
the
Yeah,
lesson.
yeah. So considering that it may not be asked, it is something extra information.
No,
It
not
cannot
to
be
leave that.
completely
Not to
left.
leave
Yeah.
that.
It needs to be attended. It needs to be read, and
Yes.
they should well prepare for that. Those questions as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And Ma'am Srishti wants to ask so that in biology, which diagrams can come for drawing and not just for labeling?
Yeah, you cannot rule out that possibility. Though earlier, we used to have questions, very complicated diagrams like human heart and brain, all
Nephron.
used to be asked. So we cannot, nowadays we have seen that they ask very simple diagrams like amoeba, hydra,
Okay.
but you never know. So we prepare our students, and I would here suggest everybody to practice drawing it as it is, drawing it once. So your eyes, 3 of your sense organs, read it aloud when you are preparing the concept related to diagram. And then write it, practice drawing. So all your sense organs are working towards preparing you for the same concept. And so
we cannot completely say that the diagrams will
labelings
not
to
be.
be done
Yeah.
preferably to the right hand side of the diagram.
Yep.
The title of the diagram to be written below the diagram, not on top. These
Okay.
are
So
my
as you said, completely
proportion,
we, yeah, we cannot
clarity.
get away from drawing the diagrams.
No, no,
There
they
may
need
be
to
some,
practice. Even
they need to
human
practice.
brain, children ask me, ma'am, male and female reproductive system. Yes, even
They have to practice. Yes.
that can be asked.
So they cannot be rest assured that the diagrams will only be asked for labeling and it will not be asked for
No, no,
drawing.
no, no.
They cannot be rest assured with that. They have to practice that as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. I think that way we are clarifying Srishti's doubt. And then food is stored as glycogen as per textbook or
Hmm.
ATP as per internet. This was given in our pre-boards and
That's why.
glycogen wasn't given any mark.
No, no, ma'am. That's why we suggest to stick to NCRT.
NCRT
It
only.
is like very clearly given
Hmm.
in plants, it is stored in the form of starch, and in animals, it is stored in the form of glycogen.
Yes.
So ATP is the powerhouse. ATP
Powerhouse
is the currency.
currency. Yeah.
Energy is stored,
Energy
not
currency,
food.
not food. Correct.
Here that
Absolute
clarity.
demarcation you have given.
A very good
Yes.
question
Very
the
good
child has
question. Yeah.
asked because that clarity should be there.
Should be there.
ATP is the energy currency, and
Yeah.
food is glycogen and starch, and animals are.
And NCRT is nothing but your Bible or Quran or your Gita. You have
Exactly,
to stick to
whatever,
it. That's all.
you know,
Because
though
finally,
we don't want rote learning to promote rote learning,
yes, yes.
but CBSE, while evaluating the answer key, I wanted to show the answer key as well, that
Hmm.
actually they stick to. And if a
And-
bio person is asked to evaluate the physics part, it
Hmm.
happened during COVID time when the
Oh.
papers were sent to us at home. Sana
Hmm.
ma'am was checking even the biochem part, and I was checking the physics part also.
Okay.
So I
Then
would
to
strictly follow the answer
answer
key
key.
that has been
Actually.
provided by
Yeah. Yeah.
CBSE. I will not think whether the child has written is right or not. So
Yes.
we recommend that they follow that.
That's yeah. So NCRT only has to be completely learned by heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it is always welcome that they come up with extra knowledge, but
Hmm.
first write what is there in the
Reference. Yeah.
NCERT. Then they can
Yeah.
support with other.
And anyways, internet is any which ways ocean of knowledge.
Even
Some
the
are authentic,
examples
some are not.
also,
Yeah.
whatever examples are given, they should try as far as possible, stick to what is there
Sure.
in the textbook.
Swara is asking some important questions from biology part and physics part.
If time permits at the end, everything is
ठीक
important.
है. Yeah.
Any small part may be important, like,
Yeah.
how many in class 12 biology, I realized one day, children feel ये क्या करना है, इसकी क्या जरूरत है.
जरूरत है.
One of the question, one child lost marks. She scored a 99 in biology. She lost just because she had not learned how many species of birds are there in India. Even that was
Oh,
asked. So,
oh.
and then,
So that means everything is important.
yes, yes.
How do we learn the chemistry equations which are competency based and not there in textbook?
That once you practice the equations that are there in the textbook, in the exercise, or numerous question banks that are available, I think automatically your brain gets trained to
Yes.
attempt those questions. Don't think कि competency based यानी कुछ बहुत
बड़ा सा.
something very
It
it
is
is
from the
all
concept only
based on the
actually.
concept only.
Concept.
So you
So
be thorough
concept.
with your
Yes.
concept. That's
Yes.
why,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
you said in my introduction, and I keep telling my students, you need to know what you are doing. Just like,
Exactly. Concept should be thoroughly prepared, and these competency based questions are basically from the concept only, but little twisted
yes.
ones and the
Yeah.
application based type.
So
Yeah.
solving papers will
Will
familiarize
help.
with the
Yes.
type of questions. Then
Yeah.
that is.
Ma'am, it's been mentioned in the syllabus that no more boxes will not be assessed in the 24-25 syllabus.
I know every time, every year it comes like that.
Yeah,
But
but
then
still
we
they ask.
see that even the sample paper, CBSE sample paper, we follow it exactly. But sometimes that weightage may change. If I remember, one of the years, Sana ma'am, one question paper had almost 6 ray diagrams.
Yeah.
Isn't
Oh,
it? Which was earlier never there. So it came to us also as a shock when we saw the paper. So let them
Okay.
be mentally prepared.
Prepared, yeah.
Yes,
So
anything can be asked.
so it should be at least twice,
It should
thrice
be
should be
prepared.
prepared. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So this is already answers. Will the diagram of allotropes be asked in the exam?
No, no.
No.
Drawing diagrams of allotropes, not there.
Okay. Can they ask to draw the
Missile,
stick? Yeah.
a missile formation, if it is asked,
Hmm.
then even if it is not specified to draw the diagram, they must draw the diagram of the missile. Otherwise, they deduct 1 mark for not drawing the diagram. We have
Okay.
noticed this, that the question doesn't specify draw the diagram. But if they do not draw, they ask us to deduct marks. So
Oh,
that is something which is, we as evaluators also feel we should
so
not
good.
be deducting.
Sharing these points will prepare our students that though they have
Yes.
not asked, but it's better to
Whichever,
support with
whichever
diagrams.
question you need, that is why I said, no, support your answer with suitable diagram or flow chart or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it is expected that you support with, it is there in one of the instructions also.
Okay. It is there in the instruction.
Maybe, I think
Yeah.
earlier it used to be, today I didn't see it there. But the last point, support your answers wherever necessary,
With the
need
diagram.
diagrams to be drawn. All right.
Can they ask to draw the stick diagram of the double circulation system, and also are all bio experiments important?
Yes. Chlorophyll necessary for photosynthesis.
Hmm.
Those are very important. You need to know the aim of the experiment, the procedure, the observations, the conclusion that can be drawn from that experiment or activity. So all
Ma'am,
activity-based activities have to be prepared thoroughly.
okay. Ma'am, how can we obtain full marks in science?
It
But
is not very easy, but not impossible. Also, we have had students scoring 100 also in science. We have our ex-students. So,
okay.
biology class 12, I'm still looking for 100. My own daughter ended up with a 99. So, I still haven't got 100 in bio class 12, but in class 10, yes, we have had. It is
Okay.
possible. So aim for 100. Your target should be 100. Set a higher target.
Okay. I think, ma'am, rest of the questions we will answer at the end of the session, as we have to start with Sana ma'am's, because most of the questions are the repeated ones, like will they be asking questions from no more boxes, or do we have to completely stick to NCERT? I
No,
think here one question we can answer, ma'am, that which hormone is responsible for diabetes, glucagon or insulin?
no. Actually, both role of insulin is to lower the blood sugar level.
Yes, and glucagon is
Glucagon
to increase.
is
Yeah,
antagonistic to it.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
if diabetes is asked, particularly we stick to, we don't introduce the hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia terms, but then imbalance of any of the two may lead to diabetes. But over here, since glucagon is not mentioned in class
mm,
10,
hmm.
they should write insulin only, not
Oh,
glucagon.
I've often seen children making a face when it comes to physics. I feel sad because I'm absolutely in love with physics. And the wonder of the subject is the fact that physics will not teach you anything new, but will tell you how to go about understanding what happens to you in this world. And that exactly is what application is about. You question, you investigate, and you find out. This is what physics is all about. So I have just broken down physics. So perfection, when it comes to your answers, you should try for perfection. Please never end up feeling, okay, this is enough. I think I've written my 3 keywords and that's all. You don't have to write much. You don't have to write paragraphs and paragraphs. But if there is something that you can add on to your answer, please do it always. You never know what value points may be given to that particular part of the answer. According to that, we as evaluators end up correcting the paper. History, this is a little bit about making physics interesting, that why did Archimedes shout Eureka, Eureka, or what exactly happened to Newton when the apple fell on his head. Everything has a history. It's nice. In fact, when we talk about discovering magnetic effect of electric current, it's a total history to it. There's a total history to it. It was just discovered by chance because the compass was there near a conductor and showed a deflection. So the history behind physics also ends up making it more relatable. Then yielding. Always this is given, this is asked, or if this happens, what do I get? What's your yield? If you understand that, then answering physics question becomes a piece of cake. What is asked and what you have understood from that. That is very, very important. Structure. For example, when we talk about numericals, it has a structure. You must write the data. Then you must write the formula. Then you must substitute accordingly and finally go and do it the sum. So you follow a structure. When there is a diagram to be made, you just don't make the diagram. You do the labeling or you write the key. In fact, in physics and diagrams, you never interfere with the main diagram. You write the key. That makes your diagram neat, comprehensible, and wonderful. Investigation, once again, this is to tickle your creative juices, and also like CBSE stressing nowadays on application-based, competency-based, critical thinking. This is where investigation plays a very, very good role. And of course, calculations, you have to be patient. You have to keep your eyes open. You just can't steamroll through a sum. There are these small little glitches. There are these small little puddles that CBSE endures and ensures that sometimes you might fall into. So you've got to keep your eyes open and your calculations have to be absolutely spot on and perfect. So let's move ahead. You can see the whys and hows of concept. Rote memorization is absolutely out. Without understanding, even if it's a law, even if it's a definition that we repeatedly say must be exactly the way it's given in the NCERT book. But if you do that without understanding, then it's not going to help you. It's not going to clarify your concepts. It's not going to take you ahead in the chapter and conceptual learning. For example, if I have Fleming's left-hand rule, and you are asked to state Fleming's left-hand rule. Yeah, we begin our answer with Fleming's left-hand rule is stated as stretch the forefinger, thumb, and middle finger off your hand. And that's exactly where the child makes the first mistake. The child does not write the left hand because you've done rote learning without understanding. And you write stretch it out. You forget to write the fact that they should be mutually perpendicular. These small things will end up giving you a big zero. That's a zero. We are very heartless when it comes to evaluating the physics laws and definitions. So understand and then go about one after the other, solving what's there in your syllabus. Now, I have got you can see that I have got a hyperlink over here. I'll just show you how you can make your concepts more solid as and when you are studying. See, you would always like to get some hands-on practice. We study position of object with respect to the plane mirror, with respect to the spherical mirror, with respect to the lenses and how it changes. And then you start doing the rote memorization. Acha, this is the object and this is how the image is going to be. What if you could just experience it? So I just want you all to go through this. So you can type in your search box ever when you want to study. Just type GeoGebra image formation in spherical mirrors and you come up with this wonderful thing which I just want to present to you. I'll just stop for a moment. See, this is my spherical mirror. It's a concave mirror that you can see. Now, I want to learn by heart how will the image change when my object distance changes. So take this object, take it far away. So you can see that the focal length is -4 and the center of curvature is -8. And this is the place where my object is beyond the center of curvature. And you can see the image very clearly inverted, diminished in size. And then you start bringing it close and you see what happens. And then when it's at C, exactly the same side, inverted, and then you bring it forward and between center of curvature and focus. And now finally, you can see this wonderful virtual image that gets made. So if you make use of sites like this, other than remembering that table, this will flash in your mind. And ray diagrams, children, those 16 ray diagrams, 8 of mirror and 8 of lenses, should be flashing in your, should be flashing in your mind. They must be flashing in your mind because they are used for numericals. They are used for uses of mirrors and lenses. If you are not having them in your mind, you will not to explain the what and the why. Okay. So I had another one that I wanted to show you. We'll go through it once more again later at a later point. So I also have this with me. OLabs. Okay, so if I go in for this O labs, yeah, you want to know how the magnetic field changes around a conductor. Okay, so this will help you to change. See, so this is how the field is around a conductor, right? Now you can see that there are variations over here allowed. I can increase the current. See, the moment I'm increasing the current, the field is becoming more powerful. And the distance of the object, that's my object O. And right now O is experiencing the magnetic field. If I take it far away, it is not experiencing the magnetic field. Yeah, change current directions. If I change current direction, you can see that the direction of the field has also changed. So play around with these things. I mean, the internet is such a wonderful storehouse of anything that we can do that I rely on it a lot to make my classes interesting, you know. Then practicing the whys and hows of a concept, we are done. Now, some small little things. Refractive index of the second medium with respect to the first. Now, I give the class a very simple way of understanding. This is one thing that really confuses you all if I'm not wrong. How do you remember which is the first medium? You know, what are the typical words that we use? Refractive index of the second medium with respect to the first. See, when we respect somebody, no matter how funny this sounds, we are always placing that person, you know, in our high above in our regard. High. So high means that's your first medium, high. So that comes in the numerator. The second medium comes in the denominator. These are ways of remembering it. So if I ask you, why does red light bend the least? So these are the things which should be there in your answer. Red bends the least. Why? Automatically means it experiences a least refractive index. Why least refractive index? Now explain. Use the formula and explain. That means the denominator is not much less than the numerator. That means the speed does not change much. Speed of red light does not change much. So this is how you go about explaining your answer. Now some small little do's and don'ts about how to start solving the science papers. What should be your frequency? Let's not make very tall claims. I study 14 hours, 15 hours, practically not possible. So when you start by December, you should have started solving papers in the weekends. This is December. January, you must progress to solving papers twice a week. And solving a paper does not mean going to the internet, downloading a paper and just solving it randomly. Actually, give yourself 3 hours. Shut yourself up in your room. Give yourself 15 minutes of reading time and then start with the paper. In the first 20-25 minutes, your MCQs should be over. 20 MCQs, max 30 minutes. Then you've got a very small section B worth 2 marks. 6 questions worth 2 marks. So there, you should not take more than the next 20 to 30 minutes. So 1 hour is over. By the first hour, section A and section B should be over. Then comes section C, where the questions are building up. 45 minutes max. Section D, the big ones, the heavyweight ones. You know, 3 questions of 5 marks each. Physics, chemistry, bio. The next 45 minutes. And then you've got the case-based studies. That should take another 15-20 minutes. And you have a good 15 minutes left then to go through your paper, to see what you have missed, to see what you could add, to see how you can make your paper presentation much more better. You need those last 15 minutes to recollect what you have done. So in the third space, what we have is, I sincerely suggest, yes, children do have their preferences. I'm sure you will go with your preferences. But you see, we always start a meal with an appetizer. Kind of builds up our game. Your brain starts opening up with the MCQs. There is a reason why the board has made MCQs 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, 5 marks. Sometimes it happens that the really tougher questions are the 5 markers and the 3 markers. Then if you get stuck up initially, you will panic. You'll try to solve it. And then you will lose time. Your speed goes down. Your confidence in yourself goes down. So take the paper nice and easy in a proper manner. Okay. And remember, if you have not done a question, don't spend too much time on it. Please come back to it later. Okay, I'm getting stuck up. I'm not really able to. Don't panic. Leave it. Go ahead. Start solving the ones that you already know and are doing very well with. And please come back to it later. So, You have been asked dentist mirror, concave or convex. And you are very confidently writing that it's a concave mirror. Children, this kind of a question will not stop with you answering, okay, concave mirror. Why? Because the image is enlarged and virtual. See, first recognize your need. This is a give reason question. Yes, you have written very correctly that the image is enlarged and virtual, but why? Please write a sentence that the dentist requires to see a larger image of the teeth. And the mirror is placed so close to the teeth, there you have to identify now which case is it. Like I said, those 16 cases should flash in your brain. So you have to write that this is the case where the mirror is placed between the focus and the pole, giving rise to a virtual enlarged image. Okay. Then, for example, some application-based questions like why is the pot of the pani puri wala or the Nimbu pani wala always covered with a red cloth to make it beautiful? No, this is not even mentioned in your NCERT book, but this is an application-based question. Yeah, this is leads you to scattering. Red light is least scattered by fog or smoke, so it can be seen at a distance. So these are practical application-based questions that you must be familiar with. It will come with practice and it will come if you expose yourself to a wider world. Now, Cartesian sign convention. You know, to make my kids solve the numericals flawlessly, there is one thing that really works wonders. Quickly scribble a Cartesian plane in your paper. The moment you do that, and you will draw the object, automatically you will understand that because the object is on the negative x-axis, it has to be taken as negative. Focal, if you can see that I've marked in my screen, object distance minus 30 centimeter, negative. The moment you draw it, it flashes. You can't rote memorize it. Okay, object distance always negative. That does not lead to understanding. So then they talk about the image, if it is positive, if it's negative, height of the object, or the way, every time you draw the object upwards like this, you are being parallel to the plus y axis, so you have to take it as positive. These are the things that really help you out. Then an application-based question. What is the angle of incidence? This is not a trick question exactly, but often it is seen that kids do not answer this question correctly. Can anyone put the answer in the chat box? What is the angle of incidence for the second figure? Ma'am, can we see some of the answers? Ma'am, you're on mute.
90.
That's exactly what I
All
want.
are dropping 90.
Very
Some
sadly
few are saying
hoping
0.
that you would make this mistake, and you have. Angle of
Some are saying
incidence.
60. Some are saying 60.
No, it's not even 60,
0.
ma'am. Angle of incidence
0.
is low.
0.
What
Many
is
have
angle of incidence? This is the normal. This is the incident ray. Angle of incidence is this angle. So when the ray is exactly on the normal, angle of incidence is 0. It's a normally incident
0.
goes back along the normal. This is a very, very, very common mistake, and this is exactly why I put up this question. So your concepts need to be absolutely clear. And if you look at the bottom right of the screen, I have given you a small trick to remember. Focal length is, what's the sign of the focal length for which device? See, concave. The word N appears in concave, whether lens or mirror. Focal length is negative. N for negative, N for concave. Concave has the word N in, the letter N in it. And convex, if you've seen, instead of an X, I've put a plus. It will help you to remember that the focal length of a convex mirror or a convex lens is always positive. Okay? Build up these small little, what should I say? Links
Many
in your
have
brain.
answered 0, ma'am. Many have answered 0.
Okay, great. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy about those who answered 90, because this is one thing they remember. They won't take this
Yeah.
in the paper.
So maximum were 90 and 0. One was 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, these are some do's and don'ts regarding the numericals. Always write the data of a sum that's given like the way I've shown you. This carries marks. Out of a 3-mark numerical, this will carry half. You don't write this. Even if your sum is absolutely correct, as evaluators, we reduce marks for this part. Okay. Then, check for conversions. Many a time current is given in milliamperes and the voltage is in SI unit, that is volts. And you just divide. You have to find the resistance, you divide V by I. Because you're so psyched up with, okay, this is a question I know, so resistance nikalna hai. I know, let me do it. You forget the conversion. Very, very, very important. And I have listed down some conversions for you. Milliampere to ampere, you multiply by 10 to the power minus 3. Microampere, centimeters to meters, kilovolt to volt. See, kilo means 1000. So you convert that way. And kilowatts to watts and so on. Smart work is needed in sums on power. This is one thing that I really wanted to find stress on. Suppose there is a question that says, please let the bell pass. There is a question that says that a machine of 3000 watts works for 12 hours. Now there is a mismatch here. Watts and hours. One is SI units and the one is a higher order of units. So smart work is writing 3000 watts as 3 kilowatts. Simply multiplying 3 into 12, 36 kilowatt hour or unit. The sum goes like this. But instead, if you're spending too much of time on converting it to SI units, which is not wrong, but which is again not required, it will slow you down and will lead to a bigger calculation and a bigger chance of making a mistake. So you'll have to multiply 3000 into 12 hours means 12 into 3600, really not required. So smart work is accepted, smart work is required, especially in sums on power and units. Yeah, this is another place where kids make a lot of mistake. The formula of power, P is equal to 1 upon F in meters. Usually in numericals, focal length is given in centimeters. In most numericals, 95% numericals. So immediately you substitute 1. Say focal length is plus 20, you substitute 1 by 20 and you say the power is 1.05. That's wrong. You forgot to convert it. It should be 1 by 0.2. So this is one place where kids make a lot of mistakes. So please be careful about sums on power, which reminds me to what Sangeeta ma'am has pointed out correctly. Whether questions are asked from the no box. Some years, even though it's not a part of your regular white portion of the book, combined power of two lenses, P is equal to algebraic sum P1 plus P2. Numericals are asked on this. It's there in the no more box, but not there in the main paper. So please do not ignore. Always remember to write the SI unit of the final answer. Children, an answer without units doesn't have separate marks allotted to it, but we always cut marks if you don't write the units. And that's pretty cruel, I know, but still. You cannot do away with SI units. You have to. It's a numerical, you have to write. And very small, nice examples. So I've given you, you have to write the units in the answer. Skipping steps and calculations. 2 resistors in series, 2 ohms and 9 ohms. We all know the answer is 11 ohm in our minds. It takes a fraction of a second. But please be diligent enough to write RS is R1 plus R2 is equal to 2 plus 9 is equal to 11. Don't skip any of the steps. You never know, they will award half marks for the first part and half marks for the final portion. Okay. I've given one more example. Focal length is radius of curvature upon 2. So please write the formula, write the substitution, get the answer 20 centimeters directly. Okay. Knowing which formula to use, power and Joule's law of heating. Now see, there are 3 formulas for power. See, VI, I square R and V square by R. Now in which sum, which one to use? First of all, use that formula which quantities are given in the sum. For example, a sum does not talk about the current. The sum has given you voltage and the sum has given you resistance. So obviously, you are going to use the formula V square by R. You are not going to end up, it's not wrong. You will say, yes, ma'am, we can calculate current using Ohm's law. Of course you can, but why do you want to give that extra time? So use the formula V square by R. Also, in power related sum, there is one very, very big mistake that children do. If it is a circuit having different parts, so remember, say part A, part B, part C, 3 resistors perhaps. And there is a power related question for resistor A. Then please use the values of V, I and R for resistor A. Because the whole potential difference may be 20 volts of the battery at the bottom, but 20 volts is not being used by A alone. It's being broken up amongst the 3. So the value of V that you will take is only across the resistor A. Do not use V for the whole circuit. This is a very major mistake. that kids make. Misinterpreting symbols and formulas. I by V. Oh, you jump. Oh, this is Ohm's law, resistance. It's not resistance, it's conductance. Not there in your course, but I by V. Please have those alarm bells ringing in your mind. It's V by I. Okay. Kilovolt and kilowatt. In your speed of solving, you forget the difference between the two. Okay. Which one to use? Check the given data, use the formula whose values are given in the question. This is what I have been talking there just now. And even then, values of VI and R are to be taken across the device whose power is to be calculated and not the one provided for the whole circuit. Very common mistake. Not reading the question properly and completely. This is a very, very big thing. Sometimes the question has a big paragraph part and then there's a small little line at the bottom and you forget about it. And even though it's a very easy thing, you lose it. Example, draw a label ray diagram to show path of reflected ray corresponding to incident ray of light parallel to the principal axis of a convex mirror. And there is another part which says, mark I and R. Small I, angle of incidence, and small I, angle of reflection. And you've not read it. So most children will end up doing this diagram, which I'm showing you just now. However, this is the diagram that is required. So if you don't mark this, if this diagram carries 1 mark, you'll end up getting half. Now I'll show you what looks like a perfect ray diagram. Okay, ma'am, quick question for the audience. Is there anything wrong or missing in this diagram? Can I get some answers?
Yeah, let's see. A and B. Image behind mirror. A
Okay.
and B. Name
A
of
and B.
object and image is not mentioned.
Good.
Point names. A and B. Object and image labeling. Name of object and image is not mentioned.
Correct.
Focal
Name of
length.
only written O and I. We don't do this. We say A, B, A dash, B dash, always. And there's one more thing that I'm missing. Can someone tell me? We'll have a look closely.
Aperture. M and N.
Very good.
M and N. Aperture.
Excellent.
No mirror milling.
Yes, excellent children. See, the image is not named MN or MM dash. Object is not named AB. Image is not named A dash, B dash. So ideally, we are looking for this diagram. Ideally, we are looking for this diagram. This diagram will fetch you full 2 marks. Ray diagrams. Children, I cannot stress the importance of ray diagrams enough. Every year, there is a ray diagram, whether from lenses or mirrors. Every year, usually, there is a magnetic field diagram. So you've got 4, yes, you've got straight conductor or circular loop or solenoid or electromagnet. So field diagrams, ray diagrams, there is no dearth or no end to me saying important, 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 important. If it's a ray diagram, 4 arrows, 2 incident rays, 2 reflected or refracted rays, 1 for the object, 1 for the 6 arrows your diagram should have. Then you've got the points which I've written over here. I will not repeat them. So we've been through this. Virtual image has to be dotted lines. Why this is so much in bold and in capital is because this is one thing that is often ignored by the kids. Please children, virtual image has to be dotted. If you draw solid lines, you will lose marks. Polarity of ammeter and voltmeter. You must show the polarity of ammeter and voltmeter. And anywhere in your diagram, please draw an arrow for the current. Cells must be connected. If you look at point number 9, I've shown you a wrong battery connection. And then a correct battery connection below that. Field line should never, yeah, I know we are not good artists, most of us. We can't draw field lines nicely, but please make sure they don't even touch. Please stay away from them. Draw a big diagram, draw a big bar magnet. You will be able to draw 6 lines nicely. Don't draw tiny, tiny diagrams. That's where the overlapping happens and the marks are cut. Okay. Never forget to mark polarity of magnets. Very important. And in a magnetic field diagram, you will have to draw 2 sets of arrows. 1 arrow for the current and the other arrows for the direction of the field lines. So remember. Here are some more last minute tips. Write derivations and practice at home. Yes, derivations. When we are studying derivations, okay, I understood. Yeah, this is okay, I understood. But until and unless you write the derivations and practice at home, children, you will not be able to do it completely. Derivation starts with a diagram. If necessary, first draw the circuit diagram. Second is introduce the value. So in my ohms, for example, ohms law derivations, I've drawn the circuit diagram and which are the values I'm using. I'm going to use V, I, R. So please write V arrow potential difference, I arrow current. So introduce your values. Then state in your own words what method. You are allowed this freedom. What do I do? So you can say in your own words, I first use one cell, then I use two cells, and then I use three cells. I note the value of V and I. This is something after you understood, you can write in your own words. Then with the observation, very important, the observation, you see that the VI graph is a straight line that's passing through the origin. And finally, the actual statement, the actual Ohm's law. Write it completely. Please do not miss the tail of Ohm's law that provided the potential difference, the entire part of Ohm's law. That the potential difference is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor, provided the temperature remains the same. Children often forget this tail. And like I said, 0. So I have said many times, and this is what I mean. Please read through this sentence. Absorb it. Laws and definitions to the point, absolute. And this is where rote learning, please. Laws and definitions, don't play around with it. Because they have been given by scientists, we don't have the right to change anything that's been said by them. Avoid illegible handwriting. Okay. Please be careful about this. It happens at the end when you're running short of time. Secret reason, lack of time management, lack of practice of past papers. Like I said, you should start past papers. Brain freeze will happen if you stay awake one night before up to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, feeling very happy. Yeah, I finished my physics portion. I finished my science paper. But the next morning, after that 1 hour of sleep, your brain is going to really not work wonders. And you may end up doing 2 into 3 is equal to 5. Your brain won't support. Right? So one day, the day before the exam, I know you're going to stay wide awake. If you go to sleep at 10 o'clock, you'll toss and turn in the bed. But after 1 hour, you'll go to sleep and you need that. This is one thing. Give the brain variety. So you decide in your timetable that, okay, for the next 4 days, I'm going to study physics. Won't help children. Study physics for 1 day, 1 chapter, 2 chapters. Next day, please take up chemistry or please take up bio. Third day, take up the other subject. You may take up social studies. Give the brain variety, brain stays alert. This has been proven scientifically. Do not study anything, any subject at a stretch. Okay. So that's my last bit of best wishes for you. Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So the perspiration has to be yours. God can't perspire for you. All the best and best of luck.
In physics numericals, can we write, say, F for focal length, or do we need to write full names of quantities?
See, if it's a numerical and you're writing the data, then F is fine. Absolutely fine. But if it's an explanation, for example, they say, for example, if it says, why is a bulb placed at the focus of a concave mirror in headlights? So there you can't use the word F. There you have to say that the bulb is placed at the focus. You can't say F. With a small focal length, so that the bulb is placed at the focus, so that the reflected rays are parallel and go forward in the car and no rays are wasted. The rays which hit the back of the mirror are then again reflected back in front. So for theoretical questions, please avoid writing F. For numericals, F is absolutely fine. One thing, just one thing.
Yes.
It just came to me while we are discussing. For numericals, it's usually a 5-mark question and the distribution is 3 marks for the numerical and 2 marks for the corresponding ray diagram. So you'll have to understand from the values of F and U, ki kaun sa case hai, and then you need to draw that case. That's a typical 5-marker question from numericals. And one mistake that kids do. See, values of F and U and V have different signs, sometimes plus and sometimes minus. And transposing is also required. So if the original formula is 1 by f is 1 by v plus 1 by u, please don't transpose at this stage. Suppose I have to find out 1 by v. First, you transpose the alphabets, like 1 by f minus 1 by u is 1 by v. And then you substitute the values. Because जब आप transpose करते हैं with a minus and a plus, and it leads to a lot of unnecessary khichdi, and you'll end up doing lot of mistakes. Because transposing में sign change होता है. फिर already अलग sign है for the different values. So first you transpose the letters. 1 by f minus 1 by u is 1 by v. And then you substitute the numbers with their values, you'll get the answer directly.
One is asking, ma'am, did you say KWH is also accepted, but there is here it is given only SI units.
Yeah, for most cases, that's why I specifically mentioned that in power type sums, it is very, very easily and nicely accepted to leave the answer in kWh or units, kilowatt hours or units. In power, it is accepted. It is accepted.
Okay. Then we have, ma'am, are all derivation coming or only few, because our teachers told that it won't come?
No, I will strictly advise against not doing derivations. Ohm's law is the most popular derivation, then Joule's heating law. Very important. I square RT, then R resistance is equal to rho L by A. These are very important derivations.
Yeah.
Please do not ignore it.
There is a compliment for you. Excellent presentation. Loved it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I love physics and I love talking about physics.
Yeah. Is make a teacher should be. I agree with you. Is marking angle I and angle R in ray diagram required?
No, in the ray diagrams for the 8 cases from infinity beyond C, between C and F, not important. But some 5-6 years back, there was this very offhand question. It carried 3 marks. Draw and depict any 3 laws of reflection by spherical mirrors. So the first one had to be ray parallel goes back. So there, in questions like that, you please have to mark I and R. Very important.
Ma'am, are diagrams in activities related to physics portions important?
Yes, absolutely. Especially magnetic effect of electric current. Very, very important. How you will use the compass to trace the field lines. Activities are very important. Maybe not the complicated ones, like the one in which you have that horseshoe magnet, and in between the horseshoe magnet that conductor is suspended and it goes left and right. So not those, but the regular activity-based ones, yes.
There are 2 requests. One is asking, can I get a re-explanation of how to write derivations quickly? Is it possible to do it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
See, in derivations, the first thing to do is the ray diagram. The electric circuit diagram. Okay, first thing. Next, when I'm doing the derivation, you know that ahead you'll have to write what is, you'll have to explain V is proportional to I. So you are using letters like V, I, R. So you need to tell the invigilator, okay, what is V? V is the potential. What is I? I is the current. Treat the person evaluator as if the person knows nothing and you are trying to explain as best as you can. Okay, after you introduce the quantities, next step is to write the actual steps. That we connect first one cell, we note down V and I. Then we connect second cell, we note down V and I. And you write those steps in your own words, absolutely. Third is the observation that it is noted that with an increase in the voltage, the current also increases. That is your very important observation. So you need to write that. VI graph is a straight line that passes through the origin. These are your observations. After that comes the conclusion. Like your practical, you do it, you note it, you observe it, and then you write the conclusion. It is seen that I is proportional to V, and then comes your actual derivation. So V is proportional to I, V is equal to K, I, K is a constant called resistance of the wire. And then finally you end up with the statement, जिसको आप prove करना चाह रहे, which is Ohm's law. So you write the statement of the Ohm's law. I know it's a big one, comes for big, sometimes 5 marks, sometimes 3 marks with a numeric.
Ma'am, one student is asking that, can you show the important points for solving physics paper once again? I think you can share the slide, and students, you can take a screenshot of it.
Yes, ma'am. Important points.
Anyways, recording will be shared.
How to write derivations, important points.
That's done, ma'am. That you have done. Can you show the important points for solving physics paper once again?
Tips for ray diagrams and circuit diagrams. Was that it?
important points for solving physics. Ma'am, oh, ma'am, there is a compliment, elaborated one. Ma'am, attending your class was an absolute delight. For the first time, I found myself genuinely interested in physics. Your passion for the subjects is truly inspiring, and you're undoubtedly the best physics teacher one could ever ask for. My
My
God, what a
God.
compliment for you. Yes.
I'm gonna have a lovely new year. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
God bless.
Yes.
I'll just share it.
Yeah.
I'm a little.
Meanwhile, Sangeeta ma'am, there are two questions for you as well. It is related to the how do we learn chemistry? This we have already answered. Yeah. Will they ask us to draw and write Buckminster-Fulleren's formula as well?
No, that is
No.
not.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's made up of 60 atoms of carbon.
Yeah, I know.
That much they need to know in case asked.
Yes. That was the only question which.
Yes.
So, ma'am, can I go ahead with the points?
Yes, please.
That's one. Write the data. That's two. Check for conversions if needed. Please always check for conversions. Sometimes distance. Acha, you don't have mechanics in class 10, but distances if in meters or centimeters, please remember to convert. This is one thing I am very careful about skipping steps and calculations because always they give half a mark for the formula and then half a mark for the answer.
Okay. Anyways, I think, ma'am, we will be sharing the recordings with the
Yes,
schools so they can
sure.
share it with their students and they can, go through it once again. Sangeeta, ma'am, many students have asked, I think they have a lot of doubt in this regard that which hormone is responsible for diabetes, glucagon or insulin? Because they are saying in the textbook also it has been given. So if you can just give some clarity on that because 2, 3 students have asked this question.
Yeah, I have already answered this question, no?
Yeah, you have already answered, but one of them are saying that even the other one is also given in the NCERT textbook.
Insulin as well as glucagon.
Glucagon, yeah.
Yeah, it's better that they write both because when we talk about diabetes, then we talk about hypo and hyperglycemia. But as at class 10 level, we are not introducing these terms. No? So specifically, deficiency of insulin leads to diabetes. That is what they
That
should
should
be.
be the answer.
Yes, yes.
Which hormone is responsible for diabetes? Insulin is responsible.
Insulin should be the
So
answer.
so that they will get the full marks
Yeah.
for it, right? Okay. Any more questions, students? Sangeeta ma'am and Sana ma'am, thank you so much. Science feels a lot more easier now. Wow. No
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you.
Me
Yes,
too
yes.
enjoyed.
Oh, I also thoroughly enjoyed, and definitely students must have enjoyed it completely and really benefited for it. I mean, now I think these are the small nitty-gritties, which while teaching sometimes we have communicating with students. So I think with this now they are going to pass their examination with flying colors. Definitely.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Any more questions, students? Both the experts are right in front of you all.
Advai has asked me, do they ask competency-based questions of solenoid? Yes, they might ask you how you can make the field stronger. Okay, and they might ask you where in real life is solenoid used. You might talk about car garages where they raise those big cars from one place to the other in the junkyards.
Yeah.
Things like that. And see, one very important question is, it's not there in the book in particular, but they asked it 2 years back. Draw the magnetic field inside a solenoid. Normally we draw the field outside a solenoid. So for inside a solenoid, what you should have drawn, you should have just drawn 3, 4 parallel lines, equidistant parallel lines, because it's a uniform magnetic field. That's all. 1 mark question, very interesting, but so these are the kind of competency-based questions that we.
Yeah. There is one more question, ma'am. Which chapters numericals have a higher weightage?
That's very difficult to say, but ray diagram, the lens either a lens or a mirror numerical will come. That much is for sure.
Okay, one student has only answered for this question, light.
Yeah. Light will come. Sometimes electricity, the numericals are very easy and they are asked in the MCQs. And the bigger
Okay.
weightage questions are there for magnetic effect.
Fine. Sana ma'am, a quick tip on how to do time management for each question in board exam. How much time to spend for each question based on mark allocation? If you can give a quick
If
tip,
you
I think
study
it was,
well,
yeah.
if you study well, an MCQ should not take more than a minute. Like I said, your aim should be 20 minutes, 20 MCQs done.
Okay.
And then 2-mark questions, I don't know, 20 minutes, like a individual question is really difficult, but 2-mark questions should not take more than the next half an hour. Should not take more than the next half. So after that, you've got 2 hours with you. So 45 minutes for section D, C and section D. And then you've got half an hour left. You can finish section E and then 5-10 minutes for just going through the paper.
Sangeeta ma'am, a question for you. If they ask a 5-mark question on nephron, what all to write in answer? How many points to be written in the answer? Sangeeta ma'am, are you there? Am I audible, Sana ma'am?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I even can't see.
Sangeeta ma'am, are you there? Must be some network issue.
I think she got disconnected.
Yeah.
There's a question, ma'am.
If they ask a 5-mark question on nephron,
Ma'am,
what
there
all
is
to
one
write it?
question that I really wish to
Yes, please. Yes,
address.
please. Yes, please.
Advay again asks, if they in power questions, power of a lens question, they ask to convert meter to centimeter, then can we write power is 100 upon F? Advay, it's easy to do the sums as 100 upon F. But like I said, CBSE first expects you to write the formula and then solve the sum. So formula mein please don't write 1 by F in centimeters. That's not the formula. The original formula is 1 by F in meters. So wo likho 1 upon F in bracket meters, and then you go and solve the sum with your own ease with 100 by F in centimeter. That's okay. That's allowed. How do I recheck my paper? Most of the I don't.
Are you getting direct questions maybe?
Yeah, how
Yeah.
do I recheck my paper? Most of the times I don't find my mistakes while rechecking. See, this is actually very true. We think while rechecking that we've done the right thing only. But you know, this comes with practice. I will sincerely advise you, children. I mean, with my own kids, I've seen this work. My daughter was not very confident with mathematics. She never crossed 70 out of 80. She passed out last year. She never crossed 70 out of 80. Me being a maths teacher and, you know, literally being after her, she never crossed 70 out of 80 the whole year. But then after the school stopped and the revision started, towards the end, she actually started doing 1 paper a day. And that increases your speed tremendously. You have no idea once you start timing yourself what difference it makes. The timing is very important. Then you'll find, okay, I have 15 minutes to go through my paper. That's when you start spotting your mistakes. If you have 5 minutes, you're only doing this. That won't help. 15 minutes is a good time to go through the paper and, oh my God, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You can save at least 3 to 4 marks that way. Checking the paper really.
Surely. They may miss something, somewhere labeling or something.
Sangeeta ma'am is here. She's joining.
Yes. Sangeeta ma'am, there is a question for you. If they ask a 5-mark question on nephron, what all to write in answer?
Okay. As I said, they need to support the answer with suitable diagrams. So with the help of the diagram, first of all, they'll write that nephron is the filtration unit of the kidneys. Then the structure of the nephron, something which has been, which is given there, that is glomerulus or the Bowman's capsule, that is not mentioned in the written part. Okay, the portion which has been mentioned. So
yes,
both of them together, how the blood brings nitrogenous waste to the nephrons, how it gets filtered, and then how the clean blood goes back into the blood. So that part and how the filtrate of also they need to mention that in the initial filtrate, which are the substances that get selectively reabsorbed. That is always asked. So that also excess water and glucose amino acids which have filtered, they are selectively reabsorbed in the initial part of the nephron. So that we need to mention.
And it asks that do we have to draw a diagram for nephron while describing it? Yes.
If it is a 5-mark question, it is expected to draw.
It is expected because they are explaining the process, no ma'am, how the blood comes and gets filtered and goes out.
Yes.
So the
Complete
diagram
process has
supporting,
to be.
supporting diagram
Right
is
till
required.
how it is, taken to the collecting duct.
Yes, from
And
the whole process,
entire
how it
process.
enters, filtration, and then
To
it goes out.
justify for a 5-mark answer, then it has to be.
The student is asking, ma'am, in biology, nephron diagram PCT and DCT is not given. So should we still label it?
Not required at class 10 level.
Not required.
Yeah.
Fine. But
it's
the
in
process
class
has to be
11.
supported with the diagram.
Yeah, in the diagram, the convolution have to be shown. Proximal and distal both. Diagrammatically and the distance between the two arms, the ascending and descending limb
Descending
of the nephron,
one, yeah.
that should be around 1 finger, not more than that while drawing the diagram. Children draw big U,
big
big
huge.
shape, no? As a big U they draw.
No, just a
Making the
1
two
finger
limbs
distance is proximal,
far
yes.
apart. That is to be avoided.
Okay. Fine. Any more questions, students?
Ma'am, I just see one question here.
Yes.
Nitesh is asking, many times while applying left-hand Fleming's rule, the answer I get is wrong. So how do I correct it? Nitesh, first of all, you have to be very clear about how to remember what is for what. So the link in your brain that you have to make is like I told you for concave and convex mirrors. See, F for 4 fingers, so F for field. That's your F over. Then second, SECOND. Second finger is for current. C for second, C for current. And thumb, THUMB. Thumb stands for motion. And especially when you get sums on it, never take out all 3 fingers together. Never. Each finger according to the data given, ek ke baad ek nikalo. So suppose they say field is from here to here, so you first take out only this. Then they say current is coming out of the paper, so then you maintain this in this direction and then take out the current. And finally, let your thumb go where it's going. So you will say the conductor is going down. Don't take out all fingers, you will end up dancing. And then the invigilator will come and ask you what you are doing. So seriously, you have to apply the rule always. So the field is going up, current is going like this. So then you do the current and finally your thumb is going to come out towards your face. So you say that the conductor is coming out of the plane of the paper. So things like that. I hope that answers your issue. Thank you.
Sangeeta ma'am, one student is asked, ma'am, is dialysis process also to be learned? I have mentioned yes for it, but the student is asking, is it important to know how dialysis is done?
He's just joining in a minute.
Yeah, she's already there.
She's there, na?
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah. Please unmute her.
Okay.
Yeah, she can unmute herself.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. May I know the question again?
Yeah, the question is, the student asks, is it important to learn dialysis process? I said yes for it. But the student is asking, is it important to know how dialysis is done? I think both are the same question. So the child has to learn the process of dialysis.
Yes. As we said, though it is in the more to know section.
But yes,
it is better that they know. And it is interesting also.
Yes, dialysis is
Just to know about artificial, how it functions. So better.
Yeah. Ma'am, Sana ma'am, one question for you. Where do I find conceptual and tricky numericals for electricity? Ma'am, you're on mute. Sana ma'am, you're on mute.
See, there's a site called, first of all, the CBSE sites. I think I did mention it in one of my slides. Just let me have a look. See, if you go to the CBSE site, you'll get the sample past papers. That's a very good site. And you will get about 200 sample papers on a site called selfstudies.com. If you don't subscribe to it, they won't allow you to download the paper, but you don't need to. All you need to do is keep your laptop open up the paper and start solving. For every subject you get. Selfstudies.com. If I can just type it in the chat box.
Yeah.
Like you can go to your tab and type class 10 science paper, self-studies. And immediately you will be taken to that particular page where you will find about 50 papers per page. And there are 3-4 such pages. That should be enough to make you practice till the paper. You open it up in HD, they give you 2 options, normal vision, HD vision. Open it up in HD, it's like a full paper that opens on your screen and starts solving. It's a good. And guides, children, just the thing that guides are a very good source of questions. Their answers might not always be very well. But if you're studying well, answers don't really matter. It's a good storehouse of questions.
Oof, I think you all both have answered ample number of questions, and students are also satisfied with those answers, and hence we do not have any more questions. So, Ms. Sangeeta and Ms. Sana, on behalf of everyone present here and on behalf of Lighthouse Learning and on behalf of my school development team, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for conducting this session. Your expertise and dedication have been invaluable in guiding our students towards excellence. Thank you for your time, effort, and commitment to shaping these young minds. We truly appreciate your contribution and look forward to more such enriching sessions in future. Thank you so very much, Sana
Thank you
ma'am
so
and
much, Shraddha
Sangeeta ma'am.
ma'am. Thank you to all the
Thank
students.
you.
All the
Thank you
best.
so much, Shraddha.
Thank
Last
you.
question,
Yeah.
I think, before we close, is it possible to score more than 90% in boards if we start studying now?
Yes.
Yes. Why not?
Very interesting question.
But I think now the students are
It's a very
motivated to start
important
studying.
question.
Motivated, yeah. You all have sparked that, that fire in them that now they are very much, they must not have started learning, studying science yet, but I think from today onwards, they will be on their toes. Yes.
That's
So we are
all that
closing.
we wanted out of this. That's
Yes,
all we
yes.
wanted.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
wonderful.
thank you
All the
so much,
best to them.
Shraddha, for such opportunities. It's going to be really, really very beneficial for our students. And thank you so much, Ms. Sangeeta and Ms. Sana, for your
Thanks
time
a
and
lot.
effort. Thank
Thanks.
you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you.
students.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
also want